the book, sword training was done with real bronze swords, not wooden ones.
Luke, I appreciate you taking the time.
But you're weak and want to quit?
This scene seems to be implying that Luke is giving Percy private, informal lessons. In the book, Luke was actually the official sword-fighting instructor at Camp Half-Blood and taught Percy as part of a class.
When I say don't fight fair, it's not like there are rules.
Of course there are rules. See, that's what warfare is. Knowing the rules.
This exchange did not happen in the book. It seems to have been added here to provide some extra setup for the fight with Ares.
If I draw first blood, I keep the bolt and you surrender the helm.
There wasn't really a defined win condition for the fight with Ares. While it did stop after first blood, Ares would have kept going if Kronos hadn't intervened.
I mean, it's your funeral, kid. Although, just to be clear, no funeral. Any trace of you leaves a trace of my plan, and we can't have that.
This isn't quite what would have happened if Ares had won in the book. He would have gotten to turn Percy into an animal of his choosing. Though I suppose the two aren't mutually exclusive, I'm still calling it a change.
It was Kronos.
What?
Is that where he got to you too? Through your dreams?
Gods don't dream, little man.
How do you f*** up the "I never said it was poison" trope? In the book, Percy didn't say anything about dreams when confronting Ares, so when Ares denied having dreams, it only confirmed Percy's suspicion. It's one of the oldest tropes in the mystery genre. How do you f*** it up this badly? In the book, Percy started the fight in the surf, where he could use the water to move himself around more effectively. Of course, Ares quickly knocked him back onto dry land, leading to him taking the beating that we see here. Also, Ares was supposed to have set a massive bore on Percy before fighting him directly. Percy makes pretty short work of it though, so it makes sense why it was cut. This beach looks pretty deserted, but in the book this fight actually drew a small crowd of cops, satyrs, dead spirits, and the Furies.
I warned you. If you're not careful, you'll find out who I am.
Percy did not deliver a one-liner before hitting Ares with the tidal wave.
Want to know what you really won today? An enemy for life.
In the book, Ares placed a curse upon Percy in revenge for beating him. What exactly that curse is changes from book to book. In The Lightning Thief, it's every time you raise your blade in battle, every time you hope for success, you will feel my curse. But in later books, it's when you need it most, your sword will fail you. I guess they couldn't settle on which version to use, so they just didn't bother at all. As I mentioned in the last video, the battle with Ares took place at Santa Monica, far from the cabin at Montauk. Percy's final confrontation with Alecto happened right on the beach.
Quite something, isn't it? Using earthquakes to clear the skies. Lord Poseidon grows bold in his war against his king.
Alecto was not in human form when Percy gave her the helm. She was in monster form, using her wings to watch the fight from above.
Good luck on Olympus. Perhaps there will still be a world left for your mother to return to.
Alecto's parting words to Percy were a bit more threatening in the book. Live well, Percy Jackson. Become a true hero. Because if you do not, if you ever come into my clutches again...
What does that mean, good luck on? Dude,
No.
I have to.
What for? The quest failed. We missed the deadline.
This is bigger than the quest.
Annabeth and Grover never tried to stop Percy from returning the bolt for any reason, let alone a bullshit reason like them missing the deadline.
Before we set off, Chiron told me the last war on Olympus kicked off World War II down here.
Again, why didn't we see this earlier? The book presented this information in chronological order, so the stakes of the quest were made clear from the start. Why would you hold crucial information like this back until it's just barely relevant?
Zeus will never let you leave Olympus alive.
I'm done running from monsters.
This line is from the book, but it's completely recontextualized here. In the book, after Ares sets the bore on him, Percy says, "But I was done running from monsters, or Hades, or Ares, or anybody." As I said back in episode 4, monster was just another word for a mythical creature in the books. The characters never really used the term like this.
You're gonna need all the luck you can get.
In the book, Annabeth gave Percy her necklace before his fight with Ares. She called it a symbol of reconciliation, children of Poseidon and Athena working together. Also, Grover gave Percy a flattened tin can at the same time, as a symbol of the satyrs standing behind him.
I'm here to see Zeus.
This scene is somewhat condensed from the book. The doorman actually denied Percy entrance twice, first because the 600th floor doesn't exist to mortals, and second because he doesn't have an appointment. Of course, that's when Percy shows him the bolt, and he quickly changes his tune. Also, the doorman is implied to be reading a certain other young adult fantasy novel. Also, in skipping over Percy's flight home, the show also skips over Percy being exonerated of all his alleged crimes. In the book, Ares ends up taking the fall for the bus explosion in the Gateway Arch attack, and Percy is able to fly home thanks to the generosity of the people of LA, and by offering everyone who pitched in a free appliance from Gabe's store.
But if we can break rules and they can't, shouldn't they be just as afraid of us as we are of them?
Annabeth is terrified of spiders. But she's a lot bigger than they are. So what do you think happens when she comes across one?
Two things. One, in the book, this is revealed when the mechanical spiders come out of the thrill ride of love, and we get to see how Annabeth reacts. We should have been shown this as a character moment, not told about it as part of a metaphor. And two, the metaphor doesn't exactly work, as Annabeth's fear of spiders tends to provoke a freezing response, not a fighting one. These thrones seem fairly uniform in design, while in the book, each one had a unique aesthetic. Also, just like the cabins, they should be arranged in a horseshoe shape, not a simple circle. Zeus is supposed to have long black and gray hair and a beard, resembling a storm cloud. Also, he's supposed to be in his 10-foot tall form here. Also, I don't see Poseidon anywhere in this scene, at least not right now. In the book, they were together for their final peace talk when Percy came with the bolt.
We tried to get it to you on time, but...
You failed. You may go.
But...
I know where Kronos is. I put him there.
You know what? Forget all that stuff about appearance. Lance Reddick owns this role and will be sorely missed.
I know who Kronos is. I am his son. Of course he's gathering strength. Of course he's coming. That is what we do. We snap and plot and strive. It was only a matter of time before he did again.
In the book, Zeus was actively in denial about Kronos rising. I guess him acting like it's not a big deal kind of fits that, but that seems like a reach.
Thank you for the news. It is the only reason I'm letting you leave alive.
In the book, Zeus letting Percy live is the reward he gets for returning the bolt. He didn't need to do anything else to win that right.
The war proceeds. It ends with victory. What did you think, that you and I would negotiate?
Yes! You called off the war the moment the bolt was returned in the book. Why does this show keep dissing its own source material?
Your family is a mess. They don't support you because they love you. They obey because they're afraid.
Percy did not give Zeus the reason you suck speech after returning the Master Bolt. He saved those for the later books. Zeus never attacked Percy with the Master Bolt. Once he got it back, he zapped away to clean it, and only ever used it in his battles with Typhon and the Giants.
I surrender.
Again, there was no war to surrender. What even is he surrendering? What does Zeus hope to gain from the war now that he has the bolt back?
I'll have Athena set a meeting, the whole council, and then discuss family business.
And again, Zeus was in denial about Kronos returning. He refused to entertain any discussion of it until the third book.
Make sure I never see this one again.
This was not one of Zeus's demands of Percy. He demanded that Percy leave Olympus before he gets back from cleaning the bolt, and to never fly again, but he never demanded to never see Percy again. Okay, so I guess they're not gonna explain where Zeus teleported off to. I have to assume he's going to wash the bolt in the waters of Lemnos, otherwise it just feels odd that he'd leave Olympus.
Patros. It means father, right?
Chiron has taught you well.
I didn't learn it from Chiron.
Percy never mentions learning ancient Greek from his mother, only from Chiron and Annabeth. You know Chiron's whole purpose is to be Percy's teacher, right? Why are we giving that role to someone else?
Can I ask you a question?
I don't know when Hades will return her. He can be difficult when he wants to make a point.
Do you dream? Ares said gods don't dream.
This exchange did not happen. Probably because Percy already knows that gods dream because of the whole "who said anything about dreams" bit. Also, Percy's conversation with Poseidon wasn't quite this short and wholesome. While Poseidon is proud of Percy and does clearly care about him, there's an awkwardness between them as a result of them having had virtually no contact for Percy's entire life, and Poseidon outright says he regrets conceiving Percy due to the difficult life he has to lead as a hero.
You should be going.
We never see the magical pearls again after Percy returns from the underworld. Percy left Olympus the way he came, down the elevator. Percy did not go straight back to camp after leaving Olympus. He went to Gabe's apartment first to see his mother. We'll talk more about that scene later.
Clarice stole the Master Bolt.
It's complicated.
How is it complicated?
Everyone was ready to join the war here, start fighting each other. An accusation against Clarice.
Without proof.
Exactly. Without proof, it would have lit this whole place on fire.
Oh, so the whole thing with Clarice really was just a cheap misdirect that had no bearing on the plot. That's a bit of wasted potential. I think it could have deepened Percy and Clarice's rivalry in the later seasons if she'd actually gotten in trouble for it. Sure, it would have been inaccurate, but it would have made the previous change more meaningful.
I told him we needed to meet him away from the celebration.
How is Percy supposed to meet up with Chiron away from the celebration? Percy kind of needs to be there for the victory ceremony. Are they gonna put a laurel crown on a straw dummy? Who's gonna burn Percy's burial shroud? Really? Ordinary starburst fireworks? In the book, the Hephaestus cabin could do full-blown sky animation using fireworks. That would have been awesome to see on screen, especially for a season finale. Imagine seeing an animated recap of all the trio's victories from previous episodes right before the final plot twist. Also, the fireworks were part of the 4th of July celebration, not the hero's return celebration. Oh, that reminds me. This confrontation between Luke and Percy happened at the end of the summer session, several weeks after Percy returns from his quest. This show really likes playing the events out of order, doesn't it?
But prophecies? Those things are so vague.
The quest is over, and everything the Oracle said has either come true or makes sense.
Has it?
And you shall be betrayed by one who calls you a friend. You worked with Ares to plan it on me. So when the shoes you gave me pulled me down into Tartarus, the bolt would be delivered right to Kronos.
I didn't think you'd give him to Grover to wear.
Okay, to sin or not to sin is the question. On the one hand, Luke's reaction to Grover nearly getting pulled into Tartarus was far more callous in the book, so this is a change. On the other hand, him caring like this is arguably more consistent with his characterization in the later books, where he does genuinely try to spare Annabeth and Thalia from the Titan's wrath. You know what? I'll let the show have this one. The gods know it needs everything it can get.
I am your friend. Percy, none of this was meant to betray you. The gods are my enemy. You. I'm here to recruit.
Luke did not try to recruit Percy to the Titan army at the end of The Lightning Thief. He did make offers later in the series, but at this point he totally wanted Percy dead. This actually creates a major plot hole, because if he didn't want Percy dead, why would he try to get him dragged into Tartarus? That would have been a death sentence this early on.
This is our way out.
Way out of what?
Camp. In their control. Backbiter can open secret doors. We can stay on the run as long as it takes.
Okay, this is gonna be a fun one. Despite what some may say, this actually does have a basis in the book. I will now read to you said basis directly from the book. He slashed his sword in an arc and disappeared in a ripple of darkness. That's it. That's the entire basis for what we're seeing here. One line where it's not even clear what's happening. Is Backbiter creating a portal? Is Luke using some rare power he got from Hermes? Is he channeling Kronos' power? It's hard to say since it never happens again for the rest of the series. Regardless, what we're seeing here is very different from what's described in the book.
I met your dad.
Percy and Luke never actually fought in The Lightning Thief. Percy tried to goad Luke into fighting, the way he did with Ares, but Luke was too smart to take him up on it. Instead, he just summoned a pit scorpion to kill Percy, monologued for a bit, and then left.
Annabeth?
I heard everything.
Annabeth was not there for the final confrontation between Luke and Percy. She only learned about Luke's betrayal from Percy's account. This is kind of important, as she spends the rest of the series in denial that he's actually turned evil, which drives a wedge between her and Percy.
None of this is easy. Saying goodbye.
In the book, Percy's final conversation with Chiron took place back at the infirmary, as Percy had been stung by the pit scorpion and nearly died. Annabeth was there too, once again serving as his nurse.
I may not be gone long. I just need to see if Hades has returned her yet.
The show seems to be suggesting that Percy waited until the end of the summer to go check on his mother. In the book, that was the first thing he did after leaving Olympus. Again, sequence of events. Also, by the time Percy had made up his mind about going home, he was dead set on staying through the school year. It's literally the last line of dialogue from the book. I'll be back next summer, I'll survive until then. After all, I am Poseidon's son.
And you're certain that you won't accept an armed escort?
Chiron definitely didn't want Percy leaving camp with Luke and the Titan army still at large, but he at least tried not to let Percy know that before he made his decision.
You have to be very careful. You're more than a hero now. You are a leader in the eyes of your fellow half-bloods.
No, he isn't. Not yet, anyway. When Percy comes back to camp in the Sea of Monsters, the other half-bloods don't treat him like a leader at all. If anything, they rally around Clarice.
No, thank you, Percy.
Like, Percy? That's your name?
Yes,
Are you sure? Because I'm 90% sure it's Peter.
Percy.
Mr. D never doubled down on an incorrect name like this. He mostly just ignored any attempt to correct him.
How does she feel about all of this? You going home to see your dad?
Annabeth going to stay with her father for the school year was actually a surprise to Percy in the book.
Guys!
Grover was supposed to have left for his search back in July. His big goodbye happened during the 4th of July party.
You got it?
Where is it? Oh, is that your searcher's license?
Why are they acting like he only just got the searcher's license? Shouldn't he have gotten it right after completing the quest? Seriously, why does this feel like a complete afterthought?
Well, it seems like every inch of the natural world's been checked, noted, and footnoted. But no one's ever bothered to check the seas.
Grover actually couldn't tell Percy and Annabeth where he would be looking for Pan in the book. It was a secret. This change seems to have been made to set up for Season 2. Also, the sea had been checked for Pan by this point in the books. The same thing that lured Grover out to the Sea of Monsters had already lured several satyrs to their death, Grover was just the first one to live to tell the tale. Percy did not reunite with Sally at the cabin in Montauk. He reunited with her back at their apartment, where they had that final confrontation with Gabe.
It's time to wake up.
Are you serious? We're still doing this?
Percy has a point. This final nightmare sequence wasn't in the book at all. The book ended with Percy getting ready to leave camp.
No kidding, kiddo. Time to wake up. Breakfast awaits. 7th grade awaits. Let's get this party started.
Percy's first day of 7th grade is never shown at any point in the books. They skip straight from the end of his first summer at camp to the start of his second.
The stories you heard about Greek gods, heroes, and monsters. I'm here to tell you they're real. If you ever feel like you don't fit, like the world doesn't make sense, then you might be a part of our world. So don't give up, because we might need you for the fight ahead.
This final narration is completely made up for the show. It doesn't even make sense. Whatever happened to...
Turn away while you still can.
My wife is divorcing me, and on top of that, I gotta pay you too? How is that fair, buddy? Oh, you gotta be kidding me. She changed the locks. Hello?
Return to sender. To Percy Jackson from the gods. Oh, well, that is gross.
Okay, let's finally talk about the whole Gabe thing. In the book, in the scene where Percy returns to the apartment to reunite with Sally after Hades releases her, we see Gabe at his absolute worst. He grumbles about having to return Sally's life insurance money, threatens to call the cops on Percy for destroying his car, and nearly slaps Sally when she tries to stop him. This is what prompts Percy to suggest using Medusa's head to kill him, which in the book was a very deliberate act on Sally's part. Apparently, this was all changed because the idea of showing Gabe's abusive behavior on TV was too real compared to describing it in prose. But personally, I say that if you don't want to depict domestic abuse, you shouldn't be trying to adapt Percy Jackson. Pretty much every major character in the series has experienced it in some form or another, and the books don't shy away from it. That's one of the things that makes the books so great in my opinion, that they're willing to be that real about it. The fact that the show isn't is a pretty big problem. Not to mention that between this and the whole smell thing going completely unaddressed, Gabe contributes absolutely nothing of substance to the story. And I think that's pretty much all there is to say about this episode. There aren't any grand overarching issues I had with it, or any deeper analysis I could give to any parts that I didn't already cover. Most of the changes in this one were either knock-on effects of previous changes, or ultimately minor in the grand scheme of things. So all told, this is probably the best finale I could have hoped for. I won't say it's as good as episodes 4 or 5, but I liked it more than episodes 1 and 2. As for my thoughts on the series as a whole, I just have one question. Why? Why is it so different? So many changes were made that, in my opinion, aren't necessary for the new medium and only make the story worse. The fact that the kids recognize every single hazard before it happens kills any sense of tension. Certain details are left out that create glaring plot holes, and so many things from future books that should have been set up in this season were either set up wrong or just not at all. Even putting the plot aside, the show just doesn't capture the tone of Percy Jackson. While the show has moments of book-style comic relief, everything is played so dramatically that I don't get the same level of goofy fun out of the show that I do the books. It feels like it's trying to be a kid-friendly Game of Thrones, which just isn't what Percy Jackson is supposed to be. I think the most disappointing part is the characters. The main trio are amazing actors and have great synergy if you watch the behind-the-scenes footage. But the material they've been given just isn't right for the characters at all. Percy is way too angsty, and his dialogue is way too straightforward with none of his trademark wit and sass. Which is fucking bizarre because Walker Scobell has basically played Percy Jackson already. Seriously, when this video is over, go watch The Adam Project. Walker's character in that movie is everything Percy should have been. As for Annabeth, she was played way too stoically, with very little personality coming through, book accurate or otherwise. Which especially sucks considering that Leah Savay Jeffries had the most to prove, at least to some people. I've said it before, she's a genuinely good actress. The scene with Hephaestus in episode 5 alone proves that, and judging by the clips I've seen of Empire and Beast, she delivers good performances there too, so it's just sad that she wasn't given better material to work with. I think Grover had the best performance of the three. Aryan Simhadri perfectly captures that neurotic energy he had in the book. I genuinely have no criticisms toward his acting. So naturally, his entire story arc got completely shafted, with only token mentions that don't give a clear enough impression of what's going on. Rick Riordan himself said in one of his emails to the producers of the Lightning Thief movie that Grover needs to have a character arc for the story to work, yet he doesn't have much of one here. The crew of the show have consistently said that it was made with fans of the book in mind, and would follow the books faithfully with only minor changes. Then after the first 3 episodes aired, an interview was released acknowledging that many changes were made to the story not only to suit the medium of television, but also because Rick Riordan saw the show as a second draft. As a content creator myself, I definitely relate to that. I look back at the videos and stories I made 5 years ago and cringe. I can't imagine how much worse it'll be in another 15. But at the same time, I think Riordan got so caught up in making this second draft that he kind of let the whole faithful adaptation idea slip. Because as a fan of the books, I'm not satisfied, and I know I'm not the only one. So what's the takeaway here? Well, for anyone who may have been put off from reading the books because you didn't care for the show, please give them a chance. You'll probably like them a lot more than you realize. And for those of you who do like the show, that's great, more power to you. But if you didn't understand why some of us disliked it so much, hopefully you have a better idea now. Or at the very least, we can acknowledge that it's very different from the book, regardless of how well you think it pulls it off. As of me writing this, Season 2 is already in post-production, so even if by some miracle someone involved with the production sees this, it's too late for any of it to matter now. The good news is that the production team are aware of the criticisms, and have said they plan to make some improvements to the show going forward. But at the same time, they've only doubled down on their philosophy of changing the story, so whatever comes next, I'm certainly not going to run out of material anytime soon. Lightning Round! One bonus sin for everything the movie got right that the show did not. While Grover doesn't use crutches in the book, the fact that he uses them in the movie is in keeping with him disguising his weird legs as a muscular disability, something the show doesn't acknowledge at all. Mrs. Dodds attacks Percy in an isolated section of the museum, complete with a brief moment of off-screen teleportation. Pretty much everything about Smelly Gabe. Joe Pantoliano does a great job in this role. I honestly regret not taking any sins off for his portrayal.
Whoa, whoa! You're half donkey? I'm half goat.
The movie alludes to the fact that some demigods have held positions of great fame and power in the mortal world, a detail from the books that goes completely unmentioned in the show. The movie actually explains why demigods would have dyslexia and ADHD, and the explanation is straight out of the book. The power of Gabe's smell is mentioned, explaining why Sally stays with him in the first place. The summer solstice deadline is said to be 10 days from when Percy leaves. The potential war between the gods is described in far more detail. Chiron explicitly warns
Olympians would be forced to choose sides. Earth would become a battleground. Mountains erupted, earthquakes, raging fires. The end of life as you know it.
Percy's skirmish and capture the flag happens by a creek. Athena's feud with Poseidon is acknowledged. Grover initially mistakes Uncle Ferdinand for an ordinary statue. Medusa's characterization is pretty close to the book. Vengeful towards Athena, wistful for Poseidon, and taking out those feelings on their respective children. The trio fight Medusa in her garden. Percy uses a reflective object to see Medusa during their fight. Grover eats soda cans. The Lotus Casino sequence is structured very closely to the book. Grover's occasional tendency to bleat like a goat. The characters actually experience massive storms as the deadline grows closer. The trio successfully bribe Charon into taking them across the River Styx. Hellhounds exist. There are only 3 pearls. Percy returns the bolt to Zeus on time. The gods appear as gigantic humans on Olympus. Oh, things couldn't be worse when your parents run the universe. Oh, things couldn't be worse when your folks run the universe.